5 games in, where are Spurs? Winning the first 3 and losing the last 2, 3-0. What do you think, Roy?
I think Spurs are... I suppose the start of the season so far has been a bit hit and miss. They had a decent start to the season, obviously, particularly with the clean sheets. But then the last week, you probably look at it and go, typical Tottenham. You know, he's on about the quality, of course, today of Chelsea, but Palace, you know, to concede 3 at Palace, despite the sending off, is still a setback from conceded 2 during the week in Europe. They've got to cut that out. It's obviously a difficult interview for the manager there when he knows the second half they've been basically ripped to shreds. I think men v boys the second half. He's trying to keep players on side there. But I suppose, again, we mentioned it before the game. They were getting some results at the start of the season, but they weren't creating that many chances. They were getting that many shots away. They weren't creating too much.
They've scored 1 goal from open play in 5 games.
Considering Tottenham fans particularly, you know, the reputation of Tottenham over the last 10, 15, 20 years, they want to be classed as entertainers. There was quite a lot of negative talk when Mourinho was here. I thought he was too defensive. Well, I think at the moment they're too defensive, and it's not working because they're giving up goals, particularly in the last week.
Well, that is, of course, what Daniel Levy said in the summer when they went about this managerial search. And after replacing Jose Mourinho, he talked about rediscovering this attacking DNA here. Have you seen any evidence of that?
No, not yet. I think Nuno's finding out about his group he's got. I'm not quite sure if he knows if everyone was fit next weekend what his starting 11 would be. I think he's still finding out about players. I mean, like, you must factor in Harry Kane's form. I know that in previous years he's been a slow starter, so he has to hope that he starts to put the ball in the back of the net, and that could change the whole picture for them. But I mean, at times today they were a poor second to Chelsea. You know, they were a long way off where Chelsea are, and that won't be acceptable to the supporters. But they've got, you know, this is Spurs. You know, look at the stadium. They talk about fabulous stadium. They talk about fabulous training ground, but that's of no interest to the supporters. The supporters want to see a proper team on the pitch. And right now, I think they're a long way off that. Harry scoring goals again. Maybe get Dele Alli back to some form. But, you know, you put everything on Harry Kane scoring goals and everyone getting a lift from that.
What is his form right now? OK, he came in cold because of reasons we discussed the last time we were here, which was the first day of the season. 4 attempts from him in 4 games, and he hasn't scored. How would you assess him?
I think I won't say overthinking, but he's coming too deep, isn't he? You know, we get to see it live here, and he gets frustrated when he doesn't get the ball.
But do you think that was a tactical instruction today?
No, I just feel him as a person, he gets frustrated when he's not getting the ball. He wants to touch it, feel it, he wants to spray the 40-yard balls. And unfortunately, Chelsea just knew his game and nullified his threat straight away. And it is difficult for him because all what happened in the summer, is he staying, is he going? He said he's staying now, his head's on there. I think his head's totally clear about being with Spurs, but they're just not creating enough for him, and it doesn't help himself when he drops too deep.
But he has scored goals this season. He scored for his country. So it's just...
Yeah, but it's against...
I understand that, but I'm
not the greatest opposition.
He scored against Poland, you know, they're no mugs. But to me, when I looked at him today, it was more his body language. He's closing people down. We saw for the last goal. He's your top man. I know the goalkeeper's the guy. He's your top man. He's the guy you're going to hang your hat on, even when you're having an off day. It's great for the strikers when they're lashing the ball in the back net, but I still want more from strikers when it's not quite at it. When the ball goes up to him, make it stick, knock somebody over, create an argument, start shouting at people. I never, ever see him digging anybody up.
What are you reading into his body language? What's he saying to you?
As if there's a bit of a hangover from the summer. That would be my concern. If I was the manager and you're working with, and he's a world-class striker.
You've got to be a little bit frustrated, though, Dave. You know, coming into this team, they're not creating that many chances.
Forget that for a second.
I agree with you working hard, 100%.
There's more to scoring goals if you're going to be a striker. When your team up against it, get hold of it.
Yes, I agree with that. But if you put Kane in Chelsea's side, he'll score goals left, right and centre. So when we say he's frustrated in this team...
He's not in the Chelsea side. He's here. He's got a good contract here.
Body language.
Sprint to people, get hold of the ball.
His body language is because he's not getting the service that he's getting at England. Yes, he doesn't work.
It's not a new thing. If you go back to when Mourinho was there, Mourinho was being credited with him finding a new position for him, where he was going deeper and getting on the ball. Harry Kane is a lovely striker of the ball. He sees a pass, and because of his technique, can deliver on the picture he sees. I would offer a different argument. I see Harry Kane, and where it really came home to me was a game for England against Poland. The ball was going wide. He was making no attempt to get in the box. Zero attempt. He's looking to get things pulled back to him. I see him It happens to midfield players, where midfield players, as they get older, they don't want to be in the jungle fighting for the ball. They want to get it short off the back four. You know, they're out of the war zone and they're getting it easy. For strikers, as they get older, they start to come towards the ball as well. They don't want to be up against the centre-half or coming across where a centre-half will come through and empty them from behind. And that's what I see in Harry Kane. I hope I'm wrong. He's 27 years old.
28.
Graham, there was an incident with 20 minutes to go.
He's not playing like centre-forward.
Ball fell to him about 30 yards from goal, and he tried this ride, or maybe 40 yards out. Ball bounces. Your team's under the cosh. You're 2-0 down. And he tries this ride it over. It was never going to come off. Straight back to Chelsea. The fans were actually really upset. You're going, this is where you got to get hold of it. And better decision making.
Does Micah not have a point about the team creating chances for him, though?
Yeah.
That's why that frustration is perhaps...
But there's more to football than if you're a striker. I've played with strikers where you're not creating, but you still want your striker to lead the line. Knock somebody over, knock a centre-half over and stand over him. Get hold of the ball when it comes to win a few headers. I don't know his stats today, but my eyes, I'm looking going, I don't think he done that many sprints. OK, he didn't get many chances. And, of course, it's like Ronaldo today, man. Strikers depend on people creating chances from him. But there's more to it than that. You still got to run the challenge. You've got to get hold of the ball. You've got to be aggressive.
He should be, but he won't. We're midfield players. I get the ball, I win the ball. I'll look, where is he? He's standing there. I don't want him there. I want him in there. I want to be bouncing off him up front. I don't want him holding hands with me in midfield. It's already dropped. I'm not saying it's never black and white. Football is never black and white. You do that all the time, or you do that all the time. He's got a mix-up. Right now he's playing in midfield. He needs, for me, he needs someone to point that out to him. You are a striker, get further up the field most of the time, and occasionally you will drop off.
Or a manager, Graham, to drag
he
him off.
He needs someone to speak to him strongly. Like, we talk about Tuchel doing the right things. Not being scared to make big decisions.
Yeah, but who's he going to bring off the bench? If you take Kane off, who are you bringing off the bench? That's the difference between...
They're losing the game anyway. They're losing the game anyway. You put a marker down, you go, listen...
But more and Bergwijn injured. You look at Spurs...
Can you afford to lose Harry Kane?
Sometimes you have to lose to win. You're not going to lose him now. He's staying at the club, but you've got to put a marker down to the player going, you're not doing what I'm hoping you to do. Get off.
What do you mean losing them?
I was thinking back to a Newcastle situation. Ruud Gullit and Alan Shearer cost him his job.
No, I don't think that would.
Is that how the game's evolved? And that's why there's so much to admire about the Chelsea manager. There's contributing factors. He's not frightened to do it because he wants to play a certain way. And he's got a group of players that if he takes a world-class player off, generally he's putting a world-class player on. Tottenham don't have that luxury right now. But I think Harry, this club, I'll put it this way, this club to have a good year or a very difficult year depends on getting Harry Kane scoring goals again.
Let me ask you this. Let's just quickly have a look at what Spurs have got next. Given the fact they've lost their last two games 3-0, they now take on an Arsenal side of their next game who've, after a sticky start, won their last two matches. Who starts as favourites next week?
Well, over the last week's performances, you'd have to say Arsenal, a couple of clean sheets. Tottenham conceded, 8 in a week? You'd have to say Arsenal, but Tottenham still have quality in their team. Son had a quiet day today. If Kane turns up, they're capable of winning football matches.
We talk about working hard, though. They need to, in a derby next week, that needs to be...
It's
imperative, of course, but a derby, you've got that little bit...
Was that not a derby today?
But the North London is a little bit more special.
You can't pick and choose which week you're going to be up for it and when you're going to show hunger and desire. You've got to have that in your DNA anyway.
Yeah, but we're talking about Spurs today, but let's be honest, Chelsea are just better than Spurs. They've got better players.
Crystal Palace last week.
Yeah, but... you can have an off day, can't you?
Oh, they're having plenty.
I don't buy into the fact that because now Spurs are lost two games, they're bad. Why are we not talking about the first three games that they won? The first three games, they won 1-0. You can have an off day. Crystal Palace was their off day. We're all football people here. Did you expect Spurs to win here today? Not one of us expected Spurs to win.
I expect them to put up more of a fight.
I agree with that. I'm agreeing with you that. But not one of us expects Spurs to win today because Chelsea are superior to Spurs. And on the day, in the second half, they got it bang on. And that's where we're at.